Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer. And this is a first for me. I've never done this type of video before, so bear with me. So people who watch my channel will know of my deep-seated love for Rangers of Shadowdeep by Joseph A. McCulloch. It's an amazing game and I've got loads of videos about this game on my channel. I'm actually currently running a campaign with my wife. We were going to go through all the base missions in the first book, and you can see those on the playlist somewhere in my videos. Just have a little look around and you will find them. So why am I making yet another Rangers of Shadowdeep video? Well, a friend of the channel, the Crafty Mini, is just getting into this amazing game. So I thought, haha, we should do a collaboration. I will be your Yoda, I said to him. Although, maybe not quite in those words, because that sounds kind of weird. But we decided that we'd do a kind of hobby share video collaboration kind of thing. And yeah, being a decent young man, he decided that he didn't want to upset his elders and kindly agreed that, yeah, okay, I will do that if it'll shut you up. So we set up a kind of challenge of sorts, although it's not really a challenge, but for lack of a better word, a challenge. We are both going to make a ranger character from Rangers of Shadowdeep, and this is what you can see me doing here in the background, for the other person to use in their games. Then we're going to find a miniature, paint that miniature, and we won't know what the other person has done, what type of character they've made, etc., and what miniature they've done until we get an unboxing on our channel. So this video is going up on the 14th, and we'll have the unboxing on our channel on the 21st, opening what the other person had made for us. Following? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Wow, that's a very complex way of saying we're going to make each other something, send each other something, and then once we've got something, we'll open it. Yeah, and we won't know what each other's done because we'll receive it, record our reactions before we even put out this video. Wow, that's timey-wimey, mind-bending stuff. But yes, that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I'm going to make a character for him. I'm going to start off by finding a miniature. Now I find this official Ranger miniature for the Rangers of Shadowdeep. And he looks kind of perfect to me and gives me a strong start for what I want this guy to be. So he looks like a younger, shady, but good guy. Maybe sort of an assassin thiefish. He's dressed in high quality gear, but very sort of nondescript. So it doesn't, he's not easily identifiable from what he's wearing. For the full biography of this character, obviously I'm going to write it out for the Crafty Mini, and it's up to him whether he wants to read it or not, but that's kind of my good starting point of what I want this guy to be. So, to begin with, I'm going to use 3 of my build points to knock up his fight, his shoot, and his health, so they all go up by 1 to make him a better fighter and more capable. Then I'm giving him Deadly Strike, Deadly Shot, which both knock the critical down to 18 instead of 20 on the shooting and striking. Hand of Fate, which is always a useful one, so I can re-roll a dice roll, etc. if it's gone particularly bad or whatever. Steady Aim, which means I can take a bit more time with my aim. It's like a proper aim, so I can add 5 to my shot if I say beforehand that I'm doing it. So I'm taking my time, I'm lining him up, etc. So for equipment, like I said, I think he's got decent quality stuff. So he wears his light armor, he's got a bow, although it's not on the miniature, a quiver, obviously if he's got a bow he needs his quiver, a sword, because he's obviously carrying a sword, and he's got 2 throwing knives for when he needs something a bit more up close and personal. So with my last 2 build points, I am going to put 2 on acrobatics, 1 on armory, because I want him to be able to understand what weapons are, etc., and what they're good for, climbing of 2, navigation, so he can find his way around, of 1, perception of 1, pick locks of 2, so we can open locks, stealth of 2, so we can sneak around a lot, swim of 2, tracking of 2, and traps of 1, because you never know, he might find some traps on something he wants to liberate. Now, I forgot to say, I've also given him the spell Leap. Now, I don't think this is actually a spell for him. It's an innate ability that he doesn't even know he's casting. So once per game, he can jump really far, etc. You know, he's this agile, sneaky, jumpy, you know, very sort of, yeah, shady character, should we say. Now, we have to think of a name for him, and a name for a shady, sticking in the shadows kind of dude. Okay, I think what we're probably going to do is we're going to call him Corvus. And he'd be Corvus the Crow. Because, you know, he's a shady kind of dude and he's going to be sneaking around and, yeah, wearing dark clothes. So that's what we're going to do with our guy. We're going to have him start out as this, and we'll move on from him. Now, the Crafty Mini is a very good painter, and hands down, he's a better painter than me, and I've got no problem in admitting this. So if I can't beat him on quality, I'm going to beat him on quantity. And I'm actually sneakily going to also make him his companions that are going to go with our brave adventurer, Corvus, or adventurer, or sneaky little git, whatever you want to call him. I'm going to make his companions to go with him. So, although the Crafty Mini doesn't realise this, so shh, don't tell him, I'm going to make him the entire warband so that he can actually play the game with a full band, etc. Now, this isn't a part of the rules that we had set ourselves. He's just making me a ranger, and he's very kindly doing so. But I know his painting quality is far superior to mine. So, to kind of make up for that, I'm going to make him the band, the whole group, you know, the whole shebang, so that he can get his band on the table. Not that I'm doubting that he has plenty of miniatures that he can use for this, but, you know, he doesn't have to paint all of these minis up brilliantly. He's just got my shit to put on his table, and yeah, I think that'll be quite funny actually. So, and it'll be a bit of a surprise for him when he opens this box. So we'll get on to what the crew are. So for our first companion, we have to look how many companions he can have. So he can actually have 7 companions because he's going to be a lone ranger. That wasn't meant to be said that way, but it works. So he's a lone ranger, and I'm going to pick out a warband for his 100 points that he can spend. So he can have up to 7. So our first guy is going to be this guy. I picked an archer. Archers are good so they can pick out things obviously at range, but they're not terrible fighters, to be honest. You know, they're up there with, you know, the rank and file, etc. So, you know, don't think of them as just archers. They are quite capable fighters also, but they've got the bow to back them up, etc. So I give him his equipment. He has a bow. I'm going to give him a bow instead of a crossbow because then he doesn't have to worry about the rule about reloading, etc., just in case you forget. A quiver, because if you have a bow, obviously you need a quiver. That would not be good if you didn't have one to hold his arrows. And he has light armour. So yeah, he's got some armour. He's not great, but he's got armour of 11, which is the same actually as our hero, if you will. So then he has got a skill. So at the creation of a character, you can give the non-player character a skill at +3. So I decided to give him navigation. You know, he knows his way around. He's a young guy, but he knows the land, at least around this sort of area. So we write down his stats. So he's got movement of 6, a fight of 2, shoot of 2, armour of 11, a will of 1, and a health of 10, which is quite low, but he is quite a cheap recruit at 20 recruitment points, so we don't worry too much about him. So that's 20 of our 100 recruitment points. So our next person we are going to hire is probably our most expensive person, the Barbarian. Now the Barbarian is this miniature here, and yeah, I think he's pretty good. He's made using the Frostgrave barbarian miniatures. So yeah, but he is a whopping 35 points to recruit. So yeah, he is a big old splash of our points. So that's 55 points that we're going to have to spend in order to hire the barbarian. So we're picking what equipment he is using. So it looks like he's got a hand axe and he has a shield, which will be glued on when I finally get to glue them on. Then what skill should we pick? So we're going to pick, actually they give you a skill for the barbarian. He's got a strength of 5 because it's pre-built into the character, so we can't actually change what skill he has, which, yeah, that's okay. We don't mind that. So a barbarian is a lightly armoured dude, so he's got a movement of 6, a fight of 4, a shoot of 0, an armour of 11 because he's carrying a shield, a will of 3, and a health of 14. So he's a good bit tougher than our archer with 4 more health than him. So yeah, he's going to be able to take a bit more battering. You know, we can send him up to help the ranger if the ranger gets into a bit of a scuffle, which he may not be able to handle, etc. So then we got another 45 points to spend, and we have to think about what we're getting. So I decided that we will get another sort of, another guy who can handle himself physically. So we pick a man-at-arms. So the man-at-arms is a sort of a light shield sort of dude. You know, he can defend a bit and he can attack a bit. So he's like the all-rounder fighter. He's not particularly offensive or defensive. He's a bit of both. So looking at the miniature, we're going to give him a sword, a shield, and he has light armor because he's got studded leather. I think like heavy armor is going to be like plate, etc. And this miniature definitely is not wearing plate, so we're going to say that he is wearing light armor. So for recruitment points, he costs us another 20. So that brings us up to 75? 65? 65. That brings us up to 65, which is, yeah, we're getting our way through our points. We're going to give him a movement of 6, fight of 3, shoot of 0, armour of 12 because he's wearing light armour and a shield, a will of 2, and a health of 12. So yeah, he's quite a hefty dude. He's going to be able to help us a bit more than the archer can if it comes to anything quite physical. So again, we have to find a skill for him to use. And we decide to give him armory of 3, so he understands weapons, although I do forget to write it down until later. But it is actually on the character that I've done. So next we're going to buy 2 recruits because they're nice and cheap, and that they're 10 points each. So that would bring us up to 95 if I'm not mistaken with my crappy maths. So yeah, we haven't really got much else to spend 5 points on, but you know, that's okay. We can live with that. So for our first recruit, we are going to look at the miniature. And we find this guy here. Yeah, he's an older gentleman. We're going to give him a sword. So, yeah, obviously he's got the recruit stats of 6 on movement, 2 on fight, 0 shoot, 10 armor, will of 0, health of 10. So he's a kind of, yeah, they're okay, but they both recruits are going to have the same stat line here. So yeah, that's not brilliant, but it's another body to go and achieve your objectives, etc. So the female, we're going to give a hand axe, and we'll write down in her pieces of equipment. And like I said, we're going to give the elder gentleman this rather natty looking falchion, which is just a sword in this game, so it doesn't really make any difference what type of sword it is. And I just remembered that, of course, I needed to put +3 on his skill, so I choose armory for the man-at-arms because he looks like a dude who would know a good sword if he saw one. So we write armory here and we put +3. So for the recruits, looking at their miniatures, I decide that the old man is, he's been around for a while. He knows a few things. So I give him a +3 on ancient lore. So yeah, he's been around, he's heard the stories, he knows all the weird stuff that has happened, and he can help us if it ever comes to that. So yeah, someone who can give us a bit of history to our character. So for the female, we're going to give her a climb. Why we give her a climb? I'm not sure. Maybe that's how she got away from, whatever pursued her in her past, etc., was by climbing something and getting away. So we're going to give her a climb because none of our group really are particularly great at climbing apart from our hero. So yeah, we're going to give her a climb. So after that, we have to think about names for our little companions. So first of all, we're going to go back to our archer. Now, looking at the archer miniature, what does he look like? I give him a good old look. Okay, I've decided he's going to be called Olsen. Yeah, kind of a Norwegian type name. He looks like a young Norwegian type Swedish Scandinavian young man. So yeah, he's going to be that. He also looks a little bit like the old Pathfinder movie. I think it was called Pathfinder. Yeah, but the dude who was running around in a Swedish film. So the barbarian, looking at him, I think he looks like let's give him a typical barbarian name, Ragnar. So he's going to be Ragnar the Barbarian, which is, yeah, it sounds a bit like Conan the Barbarian, just the rip-off. So with our man-at-arms, we're going to call him something cultured. We'll call him Sebastian. There you are, Sebastian. I'll try not to think of the crab every time I think of his name. So yeah, Sebastian the Man-at-Arms. Something quite a learned name. Quite a he's a fellow who came from a middle sort of background. So he's not going to be called Bert. So then we got our last two. So we got the old man. So he's a recruit. So he's not particularly experienced, but he's got some ancient lore because of how long he's been around. What should we think? Okay, I'm thinking Gerard. Okay, Gerard. Yes, he's Gerard. That kind of looks right for him. If you're wondering about the paint jobs, these are kind of after a couple of hours of painting them. So yeah, they are not looking right. But I can get the grips of what they're meant to be. Then we have the young lady. So she looks kind of fancy. She looks like she might have a pretty grandiose name, maybe. So I think we're going to call her... We're going to call her Gwendolyn. Yeah, I like that name. Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn, yeah. So the two recruits are going to be Gerard and Gwendolyn. And yeah. So following me on as I paint these miniatures. The rest of this video is going to be like me painting up the miniatures, like in a vlog style. So you're going to see me skipping, from one to the next day, showing you what I managed to get done until I finally get it done. Maybe drop a little bit of lore while I'm at it about the characters, etc. So, stick with me. Okay, so as day 2 comes to an end of me painting these miniatures, I've got quite a bit done. So I've put down all the washes for Gwendolyn here, so I can actually see where I'm going. Her outfit is quite dark and quite blotchy at the moment, but I'll be able to solve that when I come back in and pick out the highlights, etc. Mute it down with the original colour. Ragnar, yeah, again, I've blocked him in, a bit like colour in a colouring book. I've done the base colours on everything. I've picked out a few highlights, like on his cloak or the fur I've started to pick up, and I've done the face and the skin, which it really is, it shows me now that I'm actually doing something, and it's got me past that point of him being a bare plastic miniature, which I hate. So our hero Corvus, I haven't done an awful lot. Again, I put down most of the base colours just to get him sort of to this point where I'm quite happy and I can see where I'm going. I'm not 100% sure about the face mask that he's wearing, about the colour that I want to do it, but that might be something I'll ask my family to give me their opinion on as I go forward. So Gerard here, yeah, I definitely settled on this yellow and lighter blue colour scheme for them. I didn't want them to look like an army, but I do want you to recognise that these guys belong together. This green, I really like doing this green colour, cloaks, etc. And again, it ties it in with our hero Corvus. So yeah, I think that is definitely the colour scheme we're going for on these miniatures. So then we have Olsen. Olsen is, yeah, quite far along actually. I've got quite a bit done today. So yeah, using the yellows, using speed paint to do more sort of the recesses, so the zealot yellow for my army painter, and then bringing it back up to the army painter, I don't know, sunburst yellow maybe it's called. I'm not 100% sure. The blue, exactly the same thing, you know. I've just brought it back up to the original colour that it was painted after putting the wash on. So Sebastian's probably the closest to being finished, and I'm really quite happy with how he looks. I even attempted to do the eyes because, you know, this is kind of for someone else. I would never usually try eyes. I don't particularly like doing eyes, but you know, I thought, yeah, I'm doing it for someone else, so I'll go that extra yard, try and make them look more like the Crafty Mini probably make them look. So this is after day 3 of painting. As you can see, Sebastian here is pretty much done. He's based, I've got the colours down. I may go back in and touch up a few points, but no, I think actually he's probably like 99% done. There might be something I'll spot, but for now, Gerard is done. And not Gerard, Sebastian is done, and yeah, I like the way he's turned out. I think the colour scheme worked well for him, and he's kind of a man-at-arms, so I don't mind him looking like a soldier. Olsen, again, Olsen is 99% done. I could go back in and pick out the teeth a little bit better, maybe, although I'll probably mess up the face, so I probably won't bother, and I don't think anyone would notice. I like the way the cloak has sort of got that gradient, you know, from shadow to light, etc. And I love that blue colour. I could use that blue on every single miniature that I ever paint. I try not to, but it does pop up an awful lot. So then we have Gerard finished as well. So yeah, I really wanted to push to get some miniatures finished so then I can concentrate on our hero, etc. Yeah, and again, really like the colours. He fits in with the other guys. They are starting to look a little bit too much maybe as a squad of like an army, you know, because they're all wearing the same or similar colours. And I didn't really want to do that, but as it's gone on, that's just the way it's turned out, and that's how I paint, you know. I don't think things through. I just paint and see how it goes. So Gwendolyn, yeah, she's still a little bit rough. I've actually hit it there with some other colour, which I wasn't meant to. I haven't fully painted the like shirt under her blouse or whatever, undergarment, etc. On the back, you can see on the front I have, but on the back I haven't. So I haven't really finished Gwendolyn. I've just sort of got her to this point because I wanted to push through and finish some miniatures. And the same with Ragnar. I haven't really put much paint on him this today. I did the bases just so that I can get sort of, you know, some sort of completionist feeling going through me and push me on further to continue this project. Although, of course, also I need to get these things done and posted over to the Crafty Mini, so yeah, I have to get it going. Especially because I've heard that he's finished and he's posted his already. Yeah, so, yeah, like I said, Corvus, I haven't really done anything to him. I haven't even based him. He's still looking as he did last time you saw him. So, yeah, we're going to be going into day 4 with, I think, 2, maybe, no, 3 of the miniatures still to do. So I've done about half of the miniatures that I need to paint up in order to complete this. So at the end of day 4, we have finished Olsen for sure. Yeah, that's as far as I'm going to take him. I could probably, tidy some bits up. But to be honest, I'm quite happy with him. And I'm quite happy with the base, actually. I've used some of the Geek Gaming Scenic Tundra, and it worked quite well. I mixed some flock in with it, or clump foliage in with it, and the trouble is that bled a bit. So when I put it down, it bled, and the ground has turned a little bit green. But I still don't mind. It still looks very rough and kind of, Shadowdeep looking. So yeah, I'm quite happy. So then Sebastian, I don't think I did anything since last time. The day before, I might have tidied up the scabbard, etc. And yeah, but no, he looks pretty much the same, and I'm quite happy with him. The eyes are a bit weird, but I don't paint eyes, so that's probably about as good as I can do it. And then Gerard here. Gerard, hasn't changed much. I put a wash, I think, more on his beard just to make it pop a little bit more, to make it look a little bit less flat, etc. I really quite like Gerard. I think he looks like a decent miniature with the conquistador heads, etc. And I really like that on the Oathmark body. So yeah, Gwendolyn, I finally finished her off. So yeah, coming back in, I picked out the highlights. I decided she's got this rather bleak black backstory where she doesn't remember what's happened. She just stumbled across the border into Alador from Larenthia, and she can't remember what's happened, or she's not willing to speak about what's happened. So kind of the miniature is like blood and mud splattered, and she just refusing to tell people what has happened to her. So yeah, I think that's quite a good little story, and I do try and put a little story into the miniatures as I'm painting them, so it can make sense to me of what I'm looking for. So Ragnar here, yeah, he's like a mercenary, and I've painted him up. He's quite well armored, because he's it's his trade. So yeah, I've given him he's fits in with the other miniatures because he's been given a shield by the same people, so it's the same colour scheme as the Alador colour scheme or whatever. But he does look independent of the other miniatures, which I like. They tied in, but they are independent. So yeah, we have finished up our Corvus, and I quite like how he's turned out. I did go for a slightly more muted face mask colour, but yeah, I think the highlights on his cloak have worked well. They're quite nicely graded, even if I say so myself. The shading on the white, it's sort of that off, sort of natural white colour that I've done his shirt in, works well, and his bandana, I think it's subtle enough that you can tell it's different to his face tones, but it doesn't completely pull away from his face, by being too bright, which is one problem I had with it being white. It really pulled away from his face, and kind of that's what your eye was drawn to instead of to him. So I hope Crafty Mini likes these miniatures, and I hope you've enjoyed seeing me paint them up, etc. So we're going to leave you with a few little pictures of what they look like. So if you've liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you comment, I will reply to your comment. So stick around for next week. I will be unboxing the Crafty Minis part of this collaboration. So if you want to see that, stick around. But until next time, it's going to be goodbye from me, Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.